6 o'clock and we're starting the meeting. Roll call is all 5 board members and our administrator are present. Okay, we need approval of the March 10th agenda. That's today. Anybody want to approve the agenda?
No, because some of these things are here for a vote.
And we're going to change that. There's some
Yeah.
things we need to change.
Yeah, because details of compensation should be held in a private or closed session.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
Yeah.
so, but we will be reporting on those under the personnel committee thing.
Okay, did you get over?
Do you want to move employee benefits and compensation to?
That'll be under the personnel committee report.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that in the reports. And the other thing we're going to take off the agenda is the event coordinator contract changes, because we don't need to go through the board. We can do that in committee. So we don't need to do that. So with those 2 changes, I'll accept the motion to accept the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. As first on the floor, got a second?
Second?
Mary seconds. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Now, minutes of the regular meeting of February 10th. Do I have a motion to accept?
I move.
Mary moves. I'll second. Peter seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Now, public comment. Items not on the agenda are limited to 3 minutes. I'm having some memorized pretty soon. Matters requiring discussion or action by the board will be placed on the agenda for next regular meeting. Any public comment? No. Okay. Old business, we've taken that off. That was a change, the event coordinator. New business, realignment of committees. What do we need to do to realign committees? We need, Mary's leaving, so...
Are we, I think we would be better served to wait to see who the replacement is, but we have to kind of, some of the committees may need some extra help with right now because of Mary's absence, like the budget committee. But I just don't want to assign anyone permanently to these committees until we get a 5th board member. And
Okay.
While you're talking on that point, what advertisements have gone out for?
They haven't because she's still on the board.
this is her last.
This is her last, we can't do it until she's off the board.
Process and protocol.
And then we'll put it in and you got 60 days for us to fill it. We put an announcement out, board number 1.
She's off the board tomorrow, right?
Right.
Yeah, and you can give me the cake tonight.
Yeah. Anyway, Peter, then we advertise. And we advertise, and then we'll set a date for when we'll interview. And then if we don't appoint in 60 days, the supervisor can, but we will probably appoint.
But and also, I think it's to our advantage to get the word spread as much as we can. We'll do, on the website, tell everybody we'll do a Facebook blast on the Monte Rio Park. So, we've got to get some candidates in here too.
It's just that it's very relevant since the school board just lost the 60-day. They couldn't find anybody in 60 days.
Oh, they
So that's all
they had a candidate.
Well, I just talked to the principal recently.
Oh, okay, so that's what we'll do then.
Can I ask you a question then?
Sure.
We're not going to be able to have any committee meetings for about 90 days.
No, we will. We have committees.
First of all, it's not any committee meetings. We can still have the facilities meeting,
Right.
the safety
Good.
meeting, and the budget, I believe.
I'm helping her with the budget right now. And then,
For the personnel.
yeah, we're just going to switch.
I actually will probably help with that. It's the food service operator.
Yes, sir. Peter?
Well, let's finish here.
Peter wanted to say something. Good.
There's nothing to stop us from having a full board meeting, a special meeting.
Yep.
And convening the board to do personnel and budget.
Yep.
So,
Plus, we may have to have a special meeting. We're going to have a special meeting for a new board member anyway. So, while we're on that, realignment committees, yes. No, I'm doing board report. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, then food services manager, is there any comment? Anybody want to say anything on that, or do we get anywhere?
I'm sorry?
The food services manager.
Oh, basically, we just discussed it at length in the personnel committee meeting, and we wanted to go with that model. That was what the personnel committee was recommended.
Could you describe the model for?
Yeah, we've had the beach, you know, as you know, we've had the beach concession, and not had a lot of success.
Who's on the personnel committee?
Mary?
Mary and I.
And it was last February 20th.
And so you're going.
Well,
Do you want to take
Personnel
it?
committee meetings.
Yeah,
before,
it
right?
just, well, it seemed with summer not that far away, it seemed like a staffing issue, so I don't know if we stepped on toes with the facilities committee.
Well, actually,
Evidently you talked about it as well.
If I can interject for a second. In the facilities level, at the facilities committee, for many, many months, we've been discussing certain options because obviously to fill the Creekside Park concession, plus dealing with the problems we consistently have at the beach. So we had made some, we've gone the gamut of trying for the Creekside to, have an independent contractor come in. We talked to Willis County Community Services, and we're still, they have taken their main idea, they funneled it out a little bit smaller over here to help in a different way. We, we've even put ideas of funneling, hiring within, moving around people here to do it. And Diane has been the one spearheading different ideas to try to get the beach running correctly to where it's a revenue stream plus Creekside. So it got brought up at the personnel level that to hire a food service manager to oversee all, the Creekside Cafe and the beach operations. It did prematurely go to the personnel committee because it hadn't quite gotten from the facilities level yet. So we brought it back to our facilities committee last week and discussed it so we could talk intelligently at the board meeting tonight at this level. So in that meeting at the facilities level, because it kind of makes more sense that this recommendation come from the facilities committee because it's about the facilities. Diane has wanted
Staffing.
yeah, but we had spent so many months talking about it.
Yeah.
That, we didn't have a chance to really conclude our thoughts before we moved to another layer of committees. But, there's a bit of Diane worked up a job description for this particular person, and she's come up with some salary requirements, and we now, in discussion at the full board level, think that probably in the best interest of the district is to hire one person to oversee the management of the beach concession and Creekside, and we hire employees to go with that. So
How much money did we make on food last year?
None, I mean,
Okay.
nothing.
What's our projection for the next 12 months to make up food?
We don't know. We don't know.
Really, the thing is, Peter, is that it's an ongoing dilemma, and I've looked historically all the way, quite a ways back, except for years.
When Hub was in there
Right.
were some years we made some money.
But since then, we've never made any money. We've either lost money or barely break even, and it is a nightmare going through it year after year, where it seems that, the district is stabilized enough at this time to give this a go. And, if we can just cover ourselves the first year, which it's realistic that we should be able to cover our operation, that way we at least have our own branding, and we have something that we could hopefully create a really nice revenue stream.
I'm sorry, what do you mean by cover ourselves?
Cover our overhead. Cover
You're talking
our,
about adding a new staff, is that?
cover the staff and
So you're gonna make oodles of money this year, or you didn't make any last year?
so when I'm saying, you're talking about, I thought you meant bottom line, do we make any money?
That's what I mean.
No, we do not make money. What I'm saying, though, is we will have a revenue stream that's sufficient to cover our staffing and our food costs.
And
our
where's that coming from?
It was right here in the packet, did you not look? These
So
the-
you are projecting to make money off the food this year?
I'm projecting to lose a tiny bit, maybe at Creekside, and break pretty even on, make a tiny, tiny bit at the beach. Bottom line. Peter, it's in here really pretty well lined out. And these projections are, very realistic from what I know we've generated on a gross basis of revenue.
Yeah, and you're talking about making money means we cover all of our overhead and there's a little bit of profit.
But we're talking about adding to the overhead a significant
revenues
Would cover
here.
that.
I've got, my propane and my indirect overhead and my cost of food and my staffing charges. And what I'm saying is, when we're done, on a very conservative estimation, we'll net not even $500. But what I'm saying is we've covered our operation. This is exactly where we stand right now. We haven't made any more than that. And we've had a huge headache.
Maybe we shouldn't be in the business of selling food.
No, I think it's just a huge part of our park operation.
You didn't make any money in it last year. How can it be a major part of the operation?
We're a park. It's a service to the...
We have made money before. When we had HUD in there for 5 years, we made money. And we're trying to get back to that model of making money again. The possibility is there.
And what
We've got to try.
what was the trick to that?
The trick to that was Summer.
He knew.
He
was a food service
was
person.
basically a food service guy. He knew what to order, he knew what people bought, he knew how to market it, and he did a good job. And unfortunately, he was chased off and he went to Spring Lake where he did a wonderful job there. So the point is, we found a model that does work for us. HUD was the model. If we can get someone like him in here again, we'll be able to cover all our costs and maybe start making some money.
Yes.
And it's more attractive for somebody to have both venues.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, to oversee them both, and that way they've got a consistent, it wouldn't be attractive to them if they were only, a real food services manager type of person, only working seasonally, and there's a lot of competition up here as well on a seasonal basis, as you know.
There is that aspect of all of this. So if you're going to, what's your gross sales for the year projected?
Well,
On food?
the beach, the gross sales is pretty likely about $20,000 for the season.
What was it last year?
About 20, that's where I got the number.
Okay.
And I backed it out, it had to be that, because if Tripp was paying us only 4% of gross, he had to have made 20,000. Because trust me, he wouldn't have given us a dime more.
Oh, we didn't make 20,000 tribute.
Correct. So what I'm saying is that's the food revenue that came through the food concession. So in other words, we should be able to hit a $20,000 mark. Actually, we might have it's so hard to say about this year. It's going to be hotter this year.
The problem is going to be the water. We're getting a little better now.
And that's
because
going to
of
hit our
the-
beach kayak, but
Yeah.
it may not hit our beach and our food.
We don't know.
Yeah.
And Creekside, the reason for being really conservative with Creekside is that it's new.
It's an unknown.
Yeah.
It's a
Okay.
total unknown. But what I'm saying is, we can't really be hurt any more than we're being hurt, per se.
Well, this
The
way
way
we
that
have
we've
more,
been doing it.
we have more control too.
Yeah, and it could potentially, it has potential. If we get the right person, we could possibly find ourselves a nice little revenue stream, and we could, really surprise ourselves with it. So I think it's worth a try. We can always go back to the old model next year if it doesn't work.
Or get out of the business.
Right, well, that's,
Basically, this is $20,000 worth of business that would be split between Bartlett's, Burns, Barry, Don and Sue, well, whatever it's called now, Don and Susie's old place. There are 4 or 5 places that
Self-interest.
this 20,000 would go to if we didn't do anything at all.
Well, it also, it brings people to the beach.
It
It's a service that this district needs to do. That's what our business is, to enhance the visit that the people who come here for the parks and recreation get. So I think it would be a disservice not to have the concession there down on the beach. And Creekside Cafe, we have to have that cafe. That's part of the funding arrangement. So to find someone to manage both does actually make sense at this point and go from there. But I think that taking away services from it goes against the mission of the Monte Rio Recreation Park District.
It's not, you can't really view it as a profit center, it's more a service, right?
Exactly.
That you try to break even on.
And if we could do it really nicely, it would be great. I just think that with Creekside coming on board and having that bigger demand and that year-round demand, I think it's important to give it a try.
any other questions?
Surprise.
Well,
Yeah.
I've talked at length with many restaurant managers, including Coffee Bazaar, very lengthy meetings with them. So, this isn't just like, I don't know the food business. I don't know the first thing about it. So what I'm saying is, these assumptions were developed, talking to people who do know this business. And these are very conservative estimates to them.
So it's a flyer. Rolling the dice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other?
I was just going to say, and this, would this be a contract or staff position reporting to the board, or staff? Reporting to the board.
It would be also, the personnel committee would be the committee responsible for the ultimate hiring, do the interview process and all that stuff.
But I think that's also one that we could go to special meeting, if anybody else wanted to be involved in the hiring, we could special meeting, have everybody involved, just so everybody has their hands in it. Okay, so we'll vote on that later. Now, employee benefits and compensation, that's going to be pushed aside because we haven't done an evaluation. We have to do an evaluation.
The employee benefits and compensation was really just actually a discussion and more of, the principle of the whole thing was that this district doesn't have any month or mechanism, it just is
And
kind of
policy.
And that's why we've got to do yearly evaluations.
Oh, no, where are we?
Well, number C.
As a place.
It's a bit confusing because there's an action item on here that I don't see any discussion, I don't see it under new business, the district administrator.
Where's it, where are we?
See.
Oh, wait, that's,
So the employee
Okay.
benefits.
okay, okay, so two things. Yeah. Okay, the employee benefits, I was thinking of the time off, paid time off policy. We talked about vacation time, which would be prorated for hours worked. Currently, there's just a flat 10 days vacation, and we decided that it should be increased at 6 years, 15 days, 11 or more, 20 days, more in keeping with practice out there. Remember? Okay.
And that's for a full-time employee?
That's, yeah, full-time equivalent, so it'd be prorated, permanent employees.
Yeah, permanent employee, the program,
Regular.
hours they work, some of it is 3/4 time or 2/3 time or 1/2 time.
Yeah. And then currently there are just 4 paid holidays, obviously. Staff some holidays, but so normally what you'll see is 10 fixed and 2 floating holidays. Again, that would be prorated, but all these would be considered floaters for employees to work around their work schedule.
Excuse me, Mary, going back to the vacation of full-time?
Yes.
The currently 10, does that mean there's currently 10 employees of the district?
No, currently 10 days.
10 days, oh, okay, okay, thank you.
Yeah, next time.
I could not figure that out. Okay, and so the paid holidays, that means currently 4, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the first year, the way vacation goes is you accrue it month by month. And the idea behind year 1 is after 6 months on the job, they're working out, then they will have accrued 5 days vacation. And then sick days, 5 days after 6 months. And then 2 years and above would be 10 days. And we kind of tossed around the idea of a short-term disability policy, but in lieu of having that, since we have 2 staff employees, was the ability to carry over unused sick days up to 100 hours a year. And that the intent of that is to cover longer-term illnesses or accidents. Okay, cool with that?
Any other questions?
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
All right, so the next item, code of interest. Conflict of interest code, Peter?
Conflict of interest, yes, bringing this up again, just to read 2 paragraphs from it. I don't think anybody ever really clearly understood what the law was when we last talked about this. Under the Political Reform Act, all public agencies are required to adopt a conflict of interest code. This code designates positions required to file statements of economic interest, the Form 700. This is in addition, or this is different, slightly different, about the one that that goes to the Board of Suits, that when you file for election,
We also file every year that you're.
we file one every year. Certain people do, at least elected officials This covers a much broader thing. And it's specifically, the thing that changed recently on it, well, the last couple of years, is that consultants and new positions, like a food services manager, would fall under this too. There are filing requirements for individuals serving as consultants or in newly created positions. And when it goes down here to designated positions, the code must sufficiently list positions that make or participate in making decisions, typically positions that involve voting on matters, negotiating contracts, or making recommendations on purchases without substantive review must be included in codes. And it says here that the elected officials automatically file, so that there's no special thing about that. Anyway, it's something that I strongly feel, still feel that we should have all of our consultants file Form 7.
Can I answer something you just said? You said people who vote or make decisions. Mm-hmm. And everybody who makes a decision, which is all 5 of us board members, and then we have Diane on there, fill out a Form 700. Why do we need anybody else to fill it out?
They participate in the making of decisions.
But they don't make the decisions, we do. So why would we need to put in?
Because they participate in the making of decisions. And the reality is that basically the consultants for this district make all the decisions.
No, they do not. No.
Oh, no.
So,
Excuse me, just one question. Who are you referring to as the consultants?
It would be anybody who's in a consulting position.
But if you, since you just stated out loud that they make all the decisions, I'd like to hear who you refer to as the decision makers of this board.
Brian, Stephanie, and Don Bell are 3 consultants.
So you're talking about praxis architects and our director of events.
Right.
Yeah, they do not.
well,
They do not.
I can, we make the decision who files the Form 700, doesn't it? I think this is the 3rd time you brought it up.
Second, yeah.
It's about the 3rd. The point is, why do you keep bringing it up if we have already made our decision? I mean, what's going to change?
Obviously, this hasn't changed your mind. Okay.
Does any other board member have anything to say on it? I don't see any reason to change. Anybody else?
I believe what we have intact is fine, and that's what we've been told to do, and I think that we fulfill our obligation.
With legal advice, we fulfill our obligation.
And certainly, we already discussed it.
Okay.
Okay. Reports and information. Is there any board reports?
I have one. Tuesday, March 18th, this just got announced, there's the free household toxic waste disposal. It was held last year, and it was kind of last minute this year, we have a week's notice. Appointments must be made in advance, and possibly Diane can make some copies and maybe post it in the bulletin board.
Last year, didn't we get like a day's
No, it's actually saying, yeah, it was like the board meeting was Monday, and the next day was the day.
Well,
And you know what, they say it must be made in advance,
We're putting it up, we got it on the website, we put it on a little blast, we're going to put some flyers around, but if we can get it posted here, that would be great. And just for the public to know that it's next Tuesday.
Have you seen what some of our public have decided to do to get rid of stuff?
I have, like
You
the
take-
couch on the triangle,
You ought to go down to Sharon Ranch, see the truckload of stuff with the free sign.
that's nice.
So this hopefully is will take. Okay, go ahead. Anything else for reports? You have another one? Is that it? Gene, do you have one? Mary?
No, it's not necessary.
Okay.
I just heard about a fund that has been created for Lower Rush River communities. It's through the county, and it's to apply for grants up to $5,000 for like capital improvements or, and Chamber's going to go after it, for Triangle. But I was thinking if you wanted to do any signage, like for the amphitheater or anything like that.
I'm not sure that it's, I read that, because it's been floating around everywhere, what you're talking
Yeah.
about. I believe it's nonprofits only.
I think it is 501c3s. We filed for it 3 years ago and got a PA
It's not a
system.
nonprofit.
Oh, okay.
We got a PA system out of it, which was great.
Okay. Anything else? Peter, any board report? Okay, we're done with board for staff reports.
Our budget is on track.
Good.
We're
Okay.
in good shape. I think we'll know a lot at the end of March, though.
Nice staff report. The water line is done, right? I was up all, I went over and rode around it and saw the new caps and all. It's very good.
Everything works fine.
That's good. Okay. Is there any independent contract report? Probably no. Okay. Budget committee report? No.
No.
Except she says we're on track.
Yeah. We
Facility,
did have a meeting.
yeah. Any facilities grant committee report?
I have a report.
Okay.
I was hoping there was a lot of public hearing, but I didn't watch the video. So it'll be for my board directors who don't really realize what everything's going on. So a couple of things, the committee's been working on obtaining the beach permits for this year, and there's a situation where this year we're purchasing, and it'll be a 5-year permit for the beach, and it's in the tune of almost, I think, a little over $20,000 for all the necessary stuff. The good news is it's for 5 years, at least at this point. Things can change, you never know. Going back to signage real quick, Mary, we've been working with the Community Development Commission to have new signs installed at the community center and the amphitheater and the Monte Rio Beach, so that's a work in progress that we've been dealing with at that level. We'll keep updating, but just kind of, we'll get a little bit more information, and so in the next meeting I'll have a lot more to say for that. But Creekside Park, very exciting. The final striping of the bus turnaround is taking place tomorrow, and Sonoma County Transit plans on starting bus service to Creekside Park by April 1st. We're still in the process of finalizing some change orders, but the committee's been working on grants to install rainwater catchment tanks that were donated by the water agency over a year ago. Very kind of them to donate the tanks, however, it costs like $25,000 to install them. So we're trying to find the money. We have support from the Gold Ridge Resource Conservation District, the Rush River Coho Partnership, and have been approved to submit an application to the Rose Foundation, with hopefully it's trying to grab some funds to do that. The septic system is operational, but I don't believe that it has been finalized and signed off by, whoever comes out and does that.
The PRMD.
And we're hoping to have a final certificate of occupancy on Creekside Park by the beginning of April. And the fencing should come down in a couple of weeks. We are tentative date, and I think this is probably more tentative than not, doing the grand opening on either the Sunday or Monday of Memorial Day weekend. It's going to be, we're planning it, Director of Events is going to do all the planning and work in conjunction with Noah Lowry from Santa Rosa Ski and Sport. And as soon as we get everything to the point where we're going to broadcast it from the rooftops. But the most important thing I wanted to say, and this is certainly the board would love to hear this, there was a tally of all the volunteer hours of all the people who have volunteered. And there's been 585 volunteer hours that saved the district, or redevelopment, or whatever you want to call it, over $60,000. So, and of those volunteer hours, and I actually would happily share the list that I have, about 85% of them are praxis architects and consultants. So, thank you very, very much, and for also coordinating all the other volunteer hours. So, that is the latest update. Our next facilities meeting is Wednesday, March 19th at 8:30, and then we're going to go over and do another walkthrough.
Thank you.
Well, a comment about the rainwater thing. I think I sent around, there's a huge slew of legislation going into Sacramento right now. One of them is a hot ticket item. It's already been funded, Brown's already approved it, is the stormwater funding. $2 million for saving rainwater.
Actually, I saw the email and I didn't understand it, so I would happily, if you knew what that bill was. I mean, you sent a couple of bills to
Yeah.
and so I appreciate you doing that. But I didn't pay attention really. So if there's one specific that we could use to our advantage, I'd happily do some follow-up on it.
This is the thing what I'm thinking about is the thing that Obama came through in the Central Valley and said, I'm giving you lots of money. Brown said, good, I take it, he's adding, they rushed something through. I think they actually go with that. So I will take that up for you.
Thank you, Peter, I appreciate it.
Because that's what it does, it grants to do this kind of stuff.
Okay. Anything else? Personnel committee, I think you reported already. Anything else to say?
The only other thing, I guess, that is to inform the board that we did determine, I did a cost benefit analysis, was looking at the events coordinator as contractor versus as an employee, and looking at what had been paid in the past to the contractor versus what it would cost for a staff person. That is pretty much a wash, And the nature of the job requires a lot of flexibility. You could get into possible overtime some weeks or some people, but it just works better as a contract position. And, yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Related to that topic. Because this is your last few minutes as a board director, and I know you are going to continue to sit on the personnel committee.
Yeah.
Well, before
Pretty much done me in.
I know that the personnel committee has the evaluation forms that Katrina started, that we all did in 2012 before we can continue the discussion. So is that something that are we going to want to email that to the board and make it official that we're going to have an evaluation process?
Oh.
And a deadline, and then
Yeah,
so we
That is something we talked about.
That was part of- that was
Make
part of
it in
the-
here is that, that we would have evaluations based on the fiscal year. I tend to recommend mid-year evaluations so that there's not horrible surprises at the end of the year, that kind of thing. But that was basically what we did for the, I developed research salary information and developed a salary range for the district administrator, at least. To the other one. But again, that's something that could be discussed
Well,
in more
yeah.
detail in a closed session.
There's only one other.
I know. I just felt like that.
Yeah. But we're talking about having a closed session to discuss this because, we can't give these pay raises until we actually have a discussion.
Exactly. No, I'm just talking about salary range. What the going rate I predict would be for this job out there. That's just a framework. It's not, I haven't recommended an increase or anything. It's just a framework.
The only thing is, the performance evaluation, I know I was supposed to, do you, and we were supposed to do that.
We're going to.
The one that was used, that I got from Katrina, I don't know where that came from.
It came from West County Health. She used the same one that she uses.
Yeah,
You have-
it's
you have to do it.
it's really difficult if you really take a look at it, because it.
Well, we filled it out for your position back in October or November 2012, and then we had the special closed session to discuss it.
Well, actually, I almost included, that work product I was going to put in.
One that you've
And it
seen,
sounds,
or
one that I developed, but
Right.
it seemed a little pedantic, so I threw it, I took it out, because it was for larger companies. But it gives good framework for doing it and how to look at it.
Yeah,
So
I
you
didn't
can-
think that one provided much framework. I mean, it
You
was
sent me an email saying it was attached, and it wasn't attached months and months ago, so I'll take a
Well,
look at it.
and I just have to say that I don't think that a staff person should be the one coming up with the employee evaluation. I think it should be that
There should be
personnel. It should be somebody who's not going to be evaluated by that evaluation process. So I
Yeah,
think Diane should,
yeah.
So,
Yeah, so
You gotta do that.
She's-
And kind of guidelines. Well, now we got some good job descriptions, so
Right.
that's what you're evaluating, and then plus specific things you want to do that year. And so that helps it. I can do a little closed session,
That'd be great. Okay, anything else?
and I'll give you my discount rate.
Okay. All right, Mark, you public outreach any? No?
there is a
Okay.
committee.
How about, is there a CWA report?
I will give a
No? Oh, there is?
CWA report. Most of our meetings have been just strictly procedural, trying to get everything set up and together. So we finally have our checking account at Community First. There's a 2-signature requirement, and it's one person from each district. So Dan Fine is a signer on the, I'm sorry, Dan Fine's a signer, and Steve will be a signer because they're on different districts. And Rich Homer, the chair, is going to be a 3rd signer in the event someone's missing in action. And then Diane has agreed to act as our independent contractor to handle our minimum bookkeeping duties. So we did receive the $2,500 from each district for the $5,000 annual commitment that both districts have made combined for the 13-14 fiscal year. And like I mentioned earlier, it's operational. We just have to get it signed off, and the fire district is working on permits to get the preliminary process to get the pipe running to the system. That's going to take a very long time to get all that going together. But the good news is that we were fortunate enough to have John Haig attend our meeting, which is very lucky. And he discussed some county funding options. Apparently there's a reinvestment revitalization fund that's running out there and circulating, that's being governed by the Board of Supervisors. So he's going to keep us in the loop on when possible meeting is to discuss that more, so maybe we can get some more grant dollars, or the fire district can go after it to finish what they need to do. And our next meeting is tentatively set for Monday, April 7th at 5 p.m. at Creekside Park. And it's tentative because of the time. You have to make sure that the other people who want to be there can make it. I believe McCollum and Associates, that our maintenance, our service contractor, wants to be there. So, but if it doesn't, I'm going to post all that, but it would be nice to, we never have anybody come to our meetings, so that's my report on that.
Any questions? Okay, is there any correspondence?
What are we, chopped liver?
No correspondence. Okay, so...
CWA, well,
The usual
Brian
suspect.
just gave you that.
Okay, so we're on our last item, which is action. The motion will be made and seconded for each item, followed by board discussion. The item will then be open for public discussion. Public comment will then close. Final discussion item by the board will take place with no public interruption. The board will then vote. So the first item is recruitment and hiring of food services manager.
Well, we had talked about that in personnel. I thought,
You
know,
Temp is
you
huge,
have
yet
to
it's
say-
not making a motion.
Yeah, all we need is a motion.
Okay, I'm moving.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any board discussion?
So if this gets voted through, then Diane, you're going to put the job description out there and post it, and then we'll funnel it through the hiring for the personnel committee. And is there going to be a cutoff date for the application process? So
Not really. I mean, I'm going to post it and try and get a good amount of, there is no posting requirement for it at all.
Right.
So I'm just going to post it and see what we got, and obviously get rid of the ones that are not qualified.
I think
and
we're
then-
going to get some, I think we're going
I
to get
hope
people
so.
who are going to apply for this job. I really do.
I hope so.
I just wanted to know.
Okay.
I'd give at least 2-3 weeks.
It's too long. Yeah.
Well, I think 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Okay, because, yeah, we've got to get.
Because then, Diane, I mean, you're not the one that's actually hiring.
I
It has
know.
to go through, we have to go through the applications, and then there has to be a personnel committee call.
That's my point, and that's why I feel that it's got to be, get as many as we can as quickly as we can.
Right.
Any other board comments? Any public comment? Yes, ma'am.
I have not seen the revised job description, but it get modified to include their requirement to hire.
It's,
As we discussed in the facilities committee at length.
we talked about putting the division in of.
Well, what I'm saying is the posting, we have to put an abbreviated job description up in our posting. So I think the only thing was that we had discussed, what is it, that we changed,
We talked about
Pageantry
adding the
with-
vision and maybe explaining, doing a description of the beach doing a description of Creekside so the person understands what the two facilities are. And then we specifically, they would be involved in, with the personnel committee,
Right.
hiring
That's
their
there.
staff.
That is there.
Okay.
Notice I'm holding my mouth shut here. Do you want me to work on the job description?
Well, you need some requirements too. You gotta be posting it, otherwise you'll get,
They're all
right here. No, I wouldn't like to see it.
I think Diane did the
Yeah, she did,
yeah.
So, you know, we're really kind of just looking for getting a lot of resumes. We can have a very defined job description when we're in the interview process.
So this isn't what's going to be posted, it's just going to, you're going to post a call for people.
Yeah,
Any other
I
public
mean, I
questions?
can't. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passed 5-0. Okay. The event coordinator contract changes is off.
So
We're taking
what are you doing with that now?
we're taking care of it in committee. We don't need to take care of it board.
Close.
And I just got the latest revision today, so I don't have time to look at it. The district administrator pay rate.
You moved that.
We moved.
It's not paid
Okay.
rate.
Okay. So the only thing we have to vote on then is the employee benefits changes. Has everybody looked at those? And if so, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move way down.
And I have a second.
All second.
Okay, first, second, any board discussion? Any public discussion? Wow, okay, now we'll take a vote. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, passed 5-0. The meeting is adjourned at 6:42.